This is Kicker News.
Welcome to Kicker News. I'm Ariana Gomez.
And I'm Peach.
Friday the 27th in many parts of the world is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. The lives of 6 million Jews and other minorities were stolen in World War II. Kickers Arlet Lazarenko went to the Jewish community in St. John's to see how they commemorated the day.
International Holocaust Remembrance Day is this Friday, January 27. It was this day that Auschwitz, one of the largest concentration camps, was liberated. One of its survivors moved to Toronto and raised a family.
Jessica Singer is a CBC journalist who recently moved to St. John's. She grew up listening to her father telling her stories about her Zadie, her grandfather, and her Bubby, her grandmother.
My Zadie, Philip Singer, he survived 3 concentration camps. The last one he was in was Auschwitz. So when camps were liberated, he made his way to Toronto. He started his own furniture shop on Queen Street. And then my Bubby, she was German, Christian. My dad told me that the teachers used to ask her to Heil and she refused. And obviously things turned violent and she was just very against what was happening in her country. And at the age of 12, her mom told her, run, get out of here, leave. She ran away to Toronto. And then there, my Zadie met my Bubby in Toronto and they fell in love. She converted to Judaism and they had my dad. And then my dad had me and my 2 sisters. What I think their love story teaches me was that in moments of extreme stress and animosity, these 2 people from completely different backgrounds can come together under a shared message of just not being hateful and just loving people no matter who they are and what they come from. A natural trait not to feel like hate or discrimination towards other people. And I think that's a big part of my identity. And the way that identity was formed, I think, has a lot to do with hearing my Zadie story. And I'm passionate about that, to continue sharing stories like my grandfather's, because you can't let people forget that this really tragic, life-changing thing happened, and there's intergenerational trauma that comes with it too.
In memory of the 6 million Jews and other minorities who were murdered in the Holocaust, the synagogue and another group in the Jewish community, the Havurah, are getting together this Friday for a Sabbath service. In it, they will have a memorial for their family and loved ones who perished in the Holocaust.
Steve Wallenetz is the president of the Havurah.
Saying never again in a time of rising anti-Semitism is important.
Wallenetz says the event is open to the general public, given there is enough space in a small and only synagogue in St. John's.
Tomorrow night we have took to lighting first 7 candles, the 6th for each of the 6 million, the 7th for other victims of the Nazi tyranny, and an 8th for the victims of other genocides. And to me, that is an important point of outreach. It's not just about Jews, it's about the kind of world that you want.
For Kicker News, I'm Arlet Lazarenko.
January 29th is the National Remembrance Day of the Quebec City mosque attack and action against Islamophobia. Kicker's Saqib Ibn Rashid Rivu reports on how the local Muslim community is commemorating the day.
In January 2017, a gunman killed 6 people in Quebec City Mosque during their evening prayer. That event has changed the security measures for most of the mosques in the country. Muhammad Arshad is one of the imams at An-Nur Masjid in St. John's. He has been praying there for 11 years.
Though we had the security measurements before this, there were hardly 4 cameras. They were inside the masjid. But after this, a dozen of cameras got installed within the masjid, outside the masjid, number 1. Number 2, there were floodlights. We see now all the surroundings very, very bright. The other things was like the bulletproof window panes, they were installed.
To keep up with the increased security, people have also adapted new prayer restrictions.
Suppose the salat or the prayer started, so that all the doors, they get automatically locked right at the time when everybody stands up. We have got another good monitoring stuff there below that. You see the blue light blinking? They get turned on, and if somebody's inside, right, somebody can ring the bell and we can push the button and the gate will open.
January 29 is now observed as the National Remembrance Day of the Quebec City Mosque attack and action against Islamophobia. Dr. Aisha Sul Akinturk is an executive member for the Muslim Association of Newfoundland and Labrador. She says their events are important to improve interfaith understanding.
And at our mosque, this Friday, we will be joining a national Jummah Hutbah campaign. So our Hatib will be delivering a Hutbah specifically talking about January 29, what happened and what should be done to prevent, Islamophobia in our communities.
Akhil Haider is the president of Muslim Students Association at MON. They are hosting an event on January 28.
By doing an event just a day before, we think that it's a way we can raise awareness about Islamophobia, because the first and the most important thing when it comes to Islamophobia is awareness, people acknowledging that it exists in the society.
Arshad says Islam has a misrepresentation among non-Muslims.
Of course, Islam never supports terrorism, and hatred is not at all a part of our religion. The masjid is open for all the religions, for all the communities, whatever school of thought they have, whether it's Christianity, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh, you name it.
All these events are also open to public, regardless of their religion. Saqib Ibn Rashid Rivu, Kicker News, St. John's.
Walking alone can be a scary task for many women in cities like St. John's, but there are skills that can help them fight that. Kicker's Madison Ryan has more on a beginner's jiu-jitsu class that can help boost women's confidence.
Makes its mark with snow-covered sidewalks and early sunsets. Some women may feel nervous when walking down the busy streets of St. John's. On January 29th, First Light is offering a free self-defense class for women. Their goal is to help women feel empowered instead of fearing gender-based violence or other uncomfortable situations. Stephanie Brandt is a program facilitator with First Light.
The purpose of the self-defense class is to give them an opportunity of obtaining those skills and increasing their confidence to take themselves outside of their comfort zone.
Lindsay Ralph is a longtime resident of St. John's. She says, being surrounded by women is something that makes her feel safe.
Especially if I see like a girl walking downtown by herself later in the evening, I'll like try to make eye contact and just smile at her.
Brandt agrees. She says hosting an all-female self-defense program can help create a sense of community. When other women aren't present, however, there are a number of common safety measures people can take when they feel what Ralph calls the feeling of knowing that anything could happen. She says she often walks with her keys in her hand. Ashley Reed, an instructor with Evolution Martial Arts, says practicing skills like jiu-jitsu can help people to stay calm in stressful situations.
See, how much of, their bodily autonomy they can reclaim and realize that, they are strong.
Reed will be teaching the self-defense course offered by First Light. More information can be found on their website. For Kicker News, I'm Madison Ryan.
Hanging out with friends sparks a child in all of us, but many children with special needs do not have that privilege. Ariana Gomez reports on how a local organization is helping them create meaningful friendships.
Hula hoop racing, ice skating, or just playing at the park is among the activities that keep children the most entertained for hours. but when it comes to children with special needs, many of them feel like they don't fit in. Friendship Circle, a local organization helping special needs children, will have a free yoga and group therapy at Larkhill Academy on January 29th at 3 p.m. Shannon Chernetsky, the director of Friendship Circle, says the activities not only give children a chance to have fun, it also gives them a sense of belonging.
We don't limit who it is that comes. We don't limit to any particular disability. We don't turn anybody down. We try to be as inclusive as we can, whether it's autism, Down syndrome, epilepsy, or a mix, or anything else in between, or a physical disability. Everybody's welcome.
Heather Hewitt, mother of 2 children with autism, Rory and Penny, says even though her kids have different personalities, a lack of interaction with other kids of similar age can change how they perceive the world.
I do think that there is an important aspect to socializing. Like Penny, for example, is not the most social creature, but she loves to give hugs and cuddles and things like that. Even the most non-social person, like my daughter, really craves that connection.
With very little to do outdoors, longer screen time is becoming a lifeline. Ariana Gomez, Kicker News, St. John's.
And now, a music break. Here is TJ Hogan with All That's Left Over.
Hi everyone, my name is TJ Hogan. I'm going to sing an original song called All That's Left Over. I wrote it during the pandemic regarding life going into adulthood during a pandemic, and for artists who are up and coming, or even artists who are already coming. I feel like everybody will be able to relate to at least some extent. Something I might never hold. Stuck here so long, waiting out the cold. Trying to catch all my tears, he said I'm down to wait a few years. And I'm reaching for something to grab, something I'll never have. It feels like a lifetime has passed since the time that we last saw each other. Over and over I sit and I stare out the glass at a life that I had, weight on my shoulders, and what I almost had would have been grand. I just wish I had it together. And now face on the glass, take a breath, I ask, is this all that's left over? I turn around and stare at the floor for a while, picking out every detail on each tile, waiting for something to happen, like something could change so soon. I make my way slow back to my room. It feels like a lifetime has passed since the time that we last saw each other. Over and over I sit and I stare out the on my shoulders. And what I almost had, well, that would have been grand. I just wish I had it together. And now face on the glass, take a breath, I ask, is this all that's left over? In the best years of my life, I thought that I would feel more alive. Maybe I cast a shadow, but I only got so close to the light. And now the lights come on again. Not sure that I'm ready. I was one step away from the top. Now I'm back at the bottom. It feels like a lifetime has passed since the time that I last did something that mattered. Thank you.
Some international students say they don't have enough support in St. John's, but Memorial University says it supports students on a case-by-case basis. Clifton Tam reports.
The university has increased its tuition by 4% since last year, and it will keep increasing until 2025. International students are suffering as their overall spending keeps going up while there's not enough support from the university. Aisha Maria is an international student studying at Memorial University.
There's not much support for international students, especially health and stuff. Like even the books are quite expensive. So with the tuition hike, everything's getting really bad. There is some scholarship, but it's not too much. It's only like few scholarship for international student, and it's like really limited. Like students have to cover their own tuition fee and then books and then their living costs, foods and everything. It's hard.
Aisha says it is difficult for international students to manage their studies while also having a part-time job. Juanita Hennessy, an outreach worker with Memorial's Internationalization Office, says there isn't any specific program for funding international students.
I would say Memorial still looks at addressing financial concerns with students on a case-by-case basis. So looking at kind of broader programs, that would really depend on student demand and need.
Aisha says international students need more scholarships, especially non-academic scholarships, and also affordable accommodations. With the increasing cost of living, international students are looking for more support as they pay a lot more tuition than local students. Clifton Tam, KK News, St. John's.
Too often, elderly cats spend excessive amounts of time in animal shelters while they watch their young feline friends come and go. Abby Butler visits the Mad Hatter Cafe to find out why.
You're in the kennel anymore, I gotta bring her home.
This was the thought that ran through Victoria Strickland's mind each time she went to volunteer at the SPCA. Strickland adopted a cat who spent 40 weeks waiting for adoption. She found her forever home, but this makes her one of the lucky ones. For many other elderly cats, they aren't as lucky and face the reality of long weeks in a kennel.
A lot of them have health issues. Not a lot of people want to take that on. It's a lot of responsibility.
Strickland, however, did want to take on that responsibility.
Knowing that you can give them this home, give them something outside of the cage, is just such a good feeling. If you want a cat, don't turn away the older cats right away.
Cassie George is the manager of the Mad Hatter Cafe in downtown St. John's. She is also a firm believer in giving elderly cats a second chance.
Oh, it's giving a cat a life. It's giving it a home, a family, somewhere to call its own.
Working with the city's Animal Care and Adoption Center, the cafe provides an open space where the cats can really show their true personalities.
You can see the cats, you can play with them, you can enjoy them, you can learn who they are before you bring them into your home.
With this, there is hope it might just change how people view elderly cats.
You're giving them a second chance and a life.
Abby Butler, Kicker News, St. John's.
Authorities on George Street are a common sight on most weekends in St. John's. Jake Decker speaks with the staffs in the area in hopes to find out what's causing the spike in crimes.
Newfoundland music is a common soundtrack for George Street. Unfortunately, so too is the sounds of sirens from police cars and ambulances. With so many bars in such a concentrated area, it can be a magnet for violence. On the night of January 12th, a staff member of a nightclub was stabbed. Employees from other bars have spoken out about the violence. Damien DeBourdieu has worked on George Street for 25 years. He says an increase in drug use and people's desperation has led to heightened tensions on George Street.
I've seen an escalation in people's desperation, I would say. An indication of how desperate people actually are. I don't think it's a downtown problem as much as a society's problem.
DeBourdieu also says the RNC is doing all it can and that not every fight can be dealt with. Bar manager of O'Reilly's, Robert Dwyer, says the pub takes extra special care to keep its staff safe.
We make sure we have lots of door staff on, make sure they're trained, make sure that everyone is aware of the dangers.
Statistics Canada has reported a nearly 20% increase in violent crime between 2020 and 2021. The RNC did not respond to any requests for an interview. Jake Decker, Kicker Radio.
Thank you for tuning in to Kicker News.
Thank you. Bye-bye.